Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are doing a hero guide video on Mulan. Mulan is probably the strongest primary archer commander in the game. She is an attack and secondary strike hero, and in today's video I'm going to cover her skills, I'm going to cover her gems, I'm going to cover what rings should go on Mulan, and I will discuss both benefits for free-to-play players who got Mulan simply through the 99-cent or free pack at the beginning of the game but don't upgrade her. And then also kind of talk about, as you have more money spent on the game, how you would handle that for Mulan as well. But the main piece is going to just be talking through Mulan's skills, her gems, how to build her with your customizable options, and various things like that. So we are going to go all in just on Mulan today and give an overview of how Mulan should be built. So with Mulan, one of the things that you want to make sure to understand is that she is a secondary strike hero. So what that means for a secondary strike hero, so she's one attack and secondary strike. This means that she is meant to be a DPS hero. She is not a support like someone like Mehmed is, or someone like a Josephine is, one of your other archers that you might pair with her. She is your primary DPS hero. So here's my Josephine. You see attack and recovery. Josephine has this recovery piece, so she has some support skills, but she's also a DPS depending upon how you want to build her. But someone like Mulan is completely a DPS hero. She is meant to deal damage, so all of her skills are structured that way. The way we will do this is kind of talk through first stats and then go into skills and kind of talk through that as well. So first off, with attributes, the important thing to remember is that you really have a few different key attributes in a hero. You want to ignore siege. Siege doesn't really matter for most heroes in most situations. Instead, you're looking at might, armor, and strategy. So if we click on might here, you're going to see that every point of might increases the might attack of units in the troop by 0.5%. And for skills with a might bonus, which is what Mulan's skills have, every point of might increases the skill effects by 0.3%. These are key data points that is going to play into what we have. So this piece in green here, plus 0.96, is how much might she gains per level. So my Mulan is level 120. And so as she leveled up, what happens is she was able to gain 0.96 times 119, because she starts at level 1, 114 might from leveling up. And then because she's in a march with other heroes that have the same warrior and archer lineup, she's going to get a 60% bonus to that. So then you gain times 1.6. So through leveling up, she's gaining 102 might. And that's going to be her total might there. So 528 though is adding in my rings, it's adding in my gems, everything else. But the key thing when you're looking at different heroes is understanding how much are they gaining per level when they're leveling up. So they're going to have a base might and they're going to have a leveling might. So this number is really key to be aware of. Might or strategy are the two primary attack pieces. And then of course armor is defense only. So armor provides might defense, might provides might attack, and strategy provides both attack and defense for strategy attack. So this is common for tactician heroes. So for a hero like Mulan, her strategy does not help her attack because all of her attacks are might based. So her strategy is effectively armor against tactician heroes, and armor is her defense against might based heroes like a Lu Bu or something else like that. So these are important numbers to be aware of, because what's happening is when you have this might attack of units in the troop by 0.15%, I want to show you what that means, because this is a very practical number. When you're running a might-based lineup, you're going to want 3 heroes that have high might. So here I have my Mulan paired with Mehmed, who has plus 1.03. And so Mulan is a season 1 hero. One thing you'll see is that, broadly speaking, season 1 heroes have lower stat scaling than season 2, season 3, or season 4 heroes. This is not true in all cases, but it is broadly what you'd see is that they kind of get higher over time. So Mulan is given 0.96 might per level. Mehmed is given 1.03, and Attila, also a season 1 hero, is given 0.94. So you can see that the might is going up at this per level rate is a key thing. But the other thing you'll see is might is Attila's highest attribute, might is Mehmed's highest attribute, and might is Mulan's highest attribute. So when I'm building out Mulan's march, I'm thinking about combining 3 heroes with high might, because this stat here, every point of might increases might attack of units and troop by 0.15%, is very, very important. Because when you go to the overall march, this is part of your might bonus. So let's go look at the might bonus real quick in your march. And so here you can see the march I have of Mulan. And so what's happening here is you have these bonuses here. So this is your stats, right? So here you're getting a 30% stat boost because she's paired with 2 other archers. And you're getting a 30% stat boost because Mulan is paired with 2 other warrior military specialties. This is 60% total, which is why what's happening with your stats when you go to Mulan is this 60% boost on her stats, right? So that's where I'm saying that she's going to have a base stat there, and then it's going to go up by 60%. That's that 192. Basically, you're multiplying all of these stats times 1.2, and this is the one that's post, that 1.6 multiplier. So it'd be like 100. You get 100 stats through these level ups. You multiply that 1.6. It actually makes it 160. That's how you want to think about what's happening with your stats. But when you add up all 3 of these, you go to bonuses. And so what's happening here is your might attack bonus percentage. And there's a line item in here for heroes. And see here you have heroes plus 235.4%. You're getting separate boosts for gear, gems, signet rings, mercenaries, various things like that. But the heroes boost is coming all from that might. So here you can see 235.4. Now this number is going to increase as our might increases. So let's go here, back to here. And so what the might says is it's going to increase the might attack of our troops by 0.15%. So if we then say, okay, so 235.4 is my percentage increase, which should mean, let's see, divide by 0.15, 1569. This should be the total might of my entire group of units. And so let's subtract Mulan's might, and we're going to see how much of this adds up. I think it's close. It might be a little below that, actually, but this should get you approximately there. There might be a few other modifiers in here, but you see 529.65, so we're going to subtract minus 528.65, get 1040. We're going to go to 476. I think this is actually going to be a little bit low. Minus 476.91, 563, which is not enough there. 494 minus 494.34, 69 here. So there's a little bit of a gap here in this number. But what you'll see is, and so they're getting it from some other part of the hero. So I'd have to double check where that's coming from on the attack bonus. But what you would see is if you increase your might attack here, whether it's through increasing this star level, you see if I upgrade Mehmed's might, I'm going to get plus 3.5 might for going up there. That 3.5 might will then get multiplied by the 60%. So when you would see 3.5 might going up, that's all going to matter, because what's going to happen is instead of having 476.91, it's going to go up more than 3.5. And then that 3.5 might, which should give a boost of 0.52, it's actually going to get higher than that. It's going to be 1 times 1.6. So you're going to get an extra 0.84 attack bonus by doing that extra star level on here. And that's going to show up in these bonuses here under your might attack. So your heroes is going to play into that. This is where I've seen all of the boosts fall for upgrading the might of your heroes. They're going to show up under might attack. I don't know what the base number is. There's clearly some base number on that, but that's what's happening with your setup is you're getting that bonus in there. And so when you're building out a hero like Mulan, you're trying to boost her might. That's going to drive all her skills, but that's an important understanding for both Mulan and the heroes you choose to pair with her. And so today's not an overall build for those heroes or for archers. Today is about Mulan. So I just wanted to cover that Mulan's best attack is might here. She has okay armor and okay strategy, but it's really a might-based hero. Now, one of the things with Mulan, if we go into her skills, is to understand that she is a commander. Now, a commander, you have 4 skills as a hero. You have a commander skill, a signature skill, and then 2 customizable skills, which you get to choose between 6 total skills. Now, the commander skill, this first skill, is only used by the whoever's in the first slot of a march. So here's my march. Whoever's in this first slot is the commander. They're the only ones that use their first skill. So if I go into Mehmed, he has this commander skill, but it is not being used because he is not a commander. Attila has this commander skill, but it's not being used because he's not the commander. Only Mulan is the commander on this one, and that should be clear why. So when we look at Mulan's commander skill, there's a few things that you want to look at in a commander skill. One of the most important is rage cost. Every hero begins a combat with 100 rage, and then they gain 10 rage per second. So if you have 250 rage cost, that means your commander skill will activate after 15 seconds. Now, when you have a hero in the wild, so let's go out and pull Mulan and deploy her, you'll see, so right now I'm doing gathering, you're going to see Mulan here. So her commander skill shows up right here, right? So one of the things that would happen is when you get into a combat situation, it's going to try and activate that skill. So let me see where here we are. And we can show a test here against this tribal boss to show you how the commander skill works. What happens with the commander skill is it's going to build up that rage over time and then activate once it reaches its rage cost. The faster you activate that rage cost, the better, and the more effective it is for you as a system. So what we're going to do is when I start this battle, I want you to watch right here the rage build up on Mulan, because that's going to show you when she activates the skill, and then this will flash. So look, you're outnumbered, so I'm going to lose this. Don't want to remind me, but I'm going to deploy. So immediately when the battle begins, right here, you have this bar going up. This is rage. When it hits the end, that means you have 250 rage. It will activate the skill, light this up, bam, she activates her commander skill, and your rage drops back to 0. So every 25 seconds of this battle, after the first activation, she'll activate it, because she's getting 10 rage per second, slowly building up. The first activation is after 15 seconds, but the second activation is at 40 seconds because that's 25 seconds after the first activation. And you can see here, she's probably going to die before she activates the last activation. And that's very important. Now we can validate what we saw there by going to my battle reports. And here you can see the battle report, she dealt 98,000 damage. This is fighting cavalry, so she's likely to lose, and this is a very strong cavalry. And you can see the battle lasted 36 seconds. So without even opening the details page, we should be able to guess that her commander skill activated only once. If this battle took 41 seconds, she should have activated it twice. So here we can see the commander skill. It has activated one time and dealt 12,000 damage. This is a very important thing, and you can also see that the enemy's commander skill did not activate. Now, I don't know why that is, or if they just don't activate them, but you also see the other pieces that, look, Mehmed has a commander skill, but second in command cannot use their commander skill. So that's going to show up here. But one of the things that you want to see the difference is like not activating commander skill is just missing damage. And then if the commander skill doesn't deal damage, that can also be a problem, because then you'd be missing this 12,000 damage that she was able to provide. Now, her other skills are obviously doing a lot of damage as well, but it's important to just be aware of what's happening here in these lineups and how they're operating. So when we go back to our lineup here, go back into Mulan, we look here, and let's take another look at this. So grants 150 initial rage upon entering battle. Actually, yeah, so this has 150 initial rage. So her first commander skill is going to activate at 10 seconds. Sorry. That's one thing to be aware of, is not every hero's commander skill starts with initial rage. There are some that don't. Let's see if which ones Mehmed does. So this grants 100 initial rage to start. So Mehmed's has 100 rage, activates at 250, so it's going to take 15 seconds. Mulan has 150 to start, 250 cost, activates at 10 seconds. So Mulan's commander skill will activate 5 seconds earlier, and that's very, very important because the battles tend to be momentum based. Whoever gets ahead first will have an advantage in the battle, and so you want to have commanders that activate their rage skills first early on in the battle. And then Attila, we can see 400 rage cost, so it grants 200 to start, but it's going to take 20 seconds to activate it the first time and 40 more seconds to activate it the second time, which is basically never going to happen. So that makes Attila a really bad commander because his rage cost is so high. One of the things you want to think about when choosing between these heroes is, what is the rage cost? That really helps you know commander. So Mulan is a commander largely because her rage cost is low. Rage costs tend to range between 200 to 400, so they're going to activate somewhere between every 20 to 40 seconds. And she activates very quickly because she starts with 150 initial rage, so it only takes 10 seconds before her first commander skill activation. So rage cost is key. The second thing that you want to compare to, let's compare her to another archer that might be considered. We want to kind of just show you why would you choose Mulan as a commander. Let's compare her to another archer. This is Bellevue from season 2, and we look at her commander skill. Her commander skill has a rage cost of 300. Automatically, this is worse than Mulan because it's going to take place every 30 seconds instead of every 25 seconds. And she only starts with 100 initial rage. So her first commander activation is only going to occur at 20 seconds. Mulan will have activated hers 10 seconds before that. Now, the other thing you'd see with someone like Bellevue is that she's dealing 3 instances of might damage at 200% and increasing the hero's might damage for 35%, might bonus for 6 seconds. So she's both doing damage and giving herself a buff, while Mulan is just dealing damage. That's part of why Bellevue's has to take longer, is because she's doing that other implement. But 3 sets of damage at 200% is only 600%, versus 4 sets of damage at 155% is 620. So Mulan is dealing more damage at lower rage cost and activating the initial one faster. So you would choose Mulan over Bellevue to be your commander. Another common commander used for archers, especially among free-to-play, is someone like Josephine, and we can look quickly at Josephine. 200 rage, 120 initial rage. This is a good commander skill. For a free-to-play player, this is why Josephine is pretty attractive. She deals 1 instance of might damage, here 533 to 591, and it's going to activate 8 seconds into the battle and reactivate every 20 seconds. This is a strong commander skill for Josephine. Now, Josephine has the drawback that her might scaling is lower. Here you can see 0.74. While Mulan's is much higher. And so that's one of the problems with Josephine as a commander, is that she's just a little bit weaker because that might bonus is going to scale over her overall might, and she just has lower might. The one other one that people sometimes like is King Derek for archers, and here you can see his might is a little higher than Josephine's at plus 0.84, and his commander skill also has a 200 rage cost. Now, again, though, it's not all damage. He does provide a buff to the damage taken by the opponent for that. So just something to be aware of here. But he will activate quickly, but it takes him 20 seconds for the first activation, so that's actually worse than Josephine's. So just showing to show why Mulan is the standard commander for archers. It's because her commander skill deals at 620 might damage with a might bonus, and grants 150 initial rage upon entering battle, and it has a rage cost of 250. So it's going to activate 10 seconds into battle. And this 620 with a might bonus is actually a huge amount of damage, because the other thing that you're going to see is, let's go back here to stats here. What does might bonus mean? Might bonus is, for skills with might bonus, every point of might increases the skill effects by 0.3%. So let's come here to our calculator. 0.3% is going to be multiplied by our might, which is 528.65. So here you see 158. Now, what does 158 mean? First of all, what you do is you divide that number by 100, and you get 1.58. Then we're going to add 1, 2.58. This is going to be the increase in effectiveness of that skill, right? So 2.58 is our multiplier. So we're going to now take 2.58 times the 620, and it's going to deal 1603% might damage. That's the damage rate. 620 times 2.58, because that's what the might bonus is saying. It means saying any skill that Mulan has with a might bonus, which is all of the skills I have selected here. Might bonus, might bonus, might bonus, might bonus, are being multiplied by that 2.58 rate. And that's going to be where they are calculated for the purposes of this. Another way to think about the might bonus is that basically for every 100 damage one of these skills do, it's actually going to multiply by 2.58 and be worth 258 damage. So that's a huge multiplier. It's also why might you want to increase as much as possible on heroes with might bonus. So Mulan, commander, we've covered the commander skill. It deals a lot of damage to a single target. 620 times that 2.58, you're getting this 1600 damage hit 10 seconds into the battle. And that's huge because these battles are momentum based. If you deal damage faster, it means you're going to take less damage because you've killed more of their units. So activating rage quickly is a key part of choosing a commander. Mulan is that commander because of this commander skill. This is why Mulan is a commander, because of this skill. All the other skills would take place if she's in any other spot. So let's dive into those skills now. Signature skill. This is the skill that is improved when you upgrade a commander, or when you upgrade a hero. Now, all three of my heroes will use their signature skill. And here we can learn more about this in this advancement. So when you're starting up a hero, so 0 stars is what they start at. And then as you level them up with hero medals, they go up. So mine is a 5-star Mulan. And so I'm going to show you what this is. So here you can see Flying Swallow, Star Chaser, and Star Chaser. So at 1 stars, increases the damage rate for each instance of Flying Swallow. And Flying Swallow, I believe, is her commander skill. Yeah. So Mulan's 1st star just makes her commander skill better, okay? Her 3rd star and her 5th star make her signature skill better. So the 3rd star makes Star Chaser's activation chance increase by 6%. So if we look at the activation chance here, it's 26%. If you have a 1 or 2 star Mulan, it will be 20%. And the 5th star, which is a huge damage boost for Mulan, is it increases the trigger chance of Star Chaser's multi-instance damage by 35% and multi-instance damage rate by 40%. This is a huge damage spike for completing Mulan's 5th star. It's why she's typically considered a 5-star preferred hero, but she's overall really good anyway at almost all stars because of her whole structure and setup. But you should expect a big boost here. What that is if we go down in here, let's look at this signature skill now. After launching a normal attack, so this is secondary strike, that means chance to be activated each time the hero launches a normal attack, including double attacks. This is a key feature for Mulan. After launching a normal attack, deal an extra instance of might damage to the target, and that's 300% with the might bonus. So again, that 300% is multiplied by 2.58 because it has a might bonus. So it's like dealing 774% damage. And this has a 26% activation chance. So about 1 in every 4 attacks, you're going to deal this extra damage. And that's the value of a secondary strike skill. But it has an 85% chance to become 3 instances of might damage with a 190% might bonus rate. So here instead, so instead of 774, let's see what we get. You get 190 times 3, which is 570, times 2.58. That's like 1470.6. So there's an 85% chance of that happening. And so that means that, if we want just the effective rate of hitting this higher amount, that means 85% of the time you're going to multiply by 0.85, and it's going to be something like, no, I messed that up. 190 times 3 times 2.58 times 0.85. So it's effectively hitting 1250 every time on this signature skill when it activates. Because of this 26% activation chance. When that hits, you also get a chance to boost this from 300% with the might bonus to 190 times 3. And 190 times 3 is huge because each one of those is now 570. So like 300 to 570. Each one of these also gets the might bonus. It's just an incredibly strong skill, and it will activate every single time at a 20% rate when you attack. So the way normal attack works, every hero in the march does an attack in turn order. So each second is 1 turn. So on second 1, the commander will attack and then have a chance to activate any secondary strike attacks like this one, or this one. She can activate all of them, one of them, none of them. It's all based upon these percentages. And then the second hero will go. So then Mehmed will attack, and then Attila will attack, and on turn 4, Mulan gets to attack again. And so, but if she has the double attack skill, or like the benefit of a double attack, then on her turn she will attack twice, which means she gets 2 chances to activate these. But effectively, that means the activation chances, instead of 26%, it would be 52% if she has double attack. So that's Star Chaser. You don't get to change this skill. It is an incredible skill in 1v1s. It has 1 target. It deals a huge amount of damage with a pretty good activation chance. So this is basically Mulan's skill and is incredibly good. Now, when you're building a hero, you have to select skills. So you have optional skills, and for every hero you have 6 skills to select. Now every hero will begin with 2 purple skills. These are your epic skills, and every legendary hero will have 2 purple skills and 4 legendary skills to choose from. And when you first open the hero, you will have the purple skills unlocked, and at level 56, I believe, you will be able to unlock legendary skills. So one of the key parts of a hero build is understanding which legendary skills to select. And here you will see that I have selected Act of Mercy and Weak Spot Attack. And I firmly believe these are the only skills you should ever select in Mulan. There are some cases in heroes where there are some different viable options, but I'm going to go through why these are the skills you want to use. First thing to understand is, in most cases, you never want to run 2 purple skills, with the exception if you are free to play, because each of these skills takes 8,000 Empire coins. Empire coins are the currency up here that you get over time. You get them from rewards, from events. Let me put in here and actually send Mulan back to Gathering, because I don't need her here for the rest of this. So we'll go ahead and send Mulan back to Gather while I'm here. So Empire coins are the currency that you use to buy anything in the VIP shop. Like you can buy any of these VIP store items with your currency. You can use them to buy hero medals on the wheel. And so here I'm in season 3. I can spend 900 Empire coins to spend, 4,200 there. You can do any of that. But when you're building a hero, a legendary hero, it's going to cost you 8,000 Empire coins to select a skill. And for most legendary heroes, that's exactly what you want to do. You either want to spend the Empire coins, or you can spend this cool currency. It'll actually show it here. I can use one of these unlock tokens to unlock double attack or furious charge, and that can pull from my inventory, and you'll be able to see here in my inventory. I can show you what those look like. Here we go to medals, and that's what these are. You got legendary skill medals that can do that, or you can do 10 legendary skill medal fragments. They can also unlock a skill. So I have 6 here, 5 here. I can unlock 11 skills with the amount that I have right now. So you can get those through events and various things. The current event that gives the most of those is going to be, I think it's here, Fallen Frontier. You can see legendary skill medal fragments. So let's go back to Mulan. Don't want to waste too much time on that. Now, free to play, you're going to be stuck with Armor Piercer and Infuriation, but I recommend even for free to play heroes, you're going to want to select one legendary skill. So let's cover the free to play option first, which is you keep one of your purple skills and then you buy one legendary skill. And the legendary skill that you want to, or the purple skill that you want to choose between these, let's look at them. Let's look at Infuriation. And we're going to see the difference here between level 40, which is always what you want to compare. And then you always have the option of max effects. So you can max the rank, which is turn these yellow blips into purple. Here you can see I can spend epic skill scrolls to upgrade them. That's going to increase the damage it deals for this skill. And you can see it goes from 0 stars to 1 star. So purple skills can go to 4 stars. A lot of times, even for free to play, if you're doing your main march, you really want to compare with these max rank effects. That's the only way that you're going to get a good comparison on purple skills. But with some yellow skills, you're going to want to only do level 40 effects because it's more expensive. So here we go. We can see after launching a normal attack, deal might damage to the enemy troop to 50% and increases the hero's might by 50. So might increase is good. 250% damage is good, but it's not going to compare to the legendary skills. But for now, let's just compare to the other one. And when we compare to Armor Piercer, we see launching a normal attack deals might damage to the enemy troop, damage 250, reduces all heroes' armor by 50. Both of these are secondary strike skills, which means they activate after a normal attack. Okay, secondary strike skill activates after a normal attack. They both have a 20% activation chance, right? And they both deal 250% might damage, right, with a might bonus. One of them reduces all enemy heroes' armor by 50 for 3 seconds. And the other one increases one hero's might by 50 for 3 seconds. So Infuriation is worth 50 total stat points. Armor Piercer is worth 150 stat points. And because of how armor works, when you're in here, let's go back here and look at armor. Every point of armor increases the might defensive units in the troop by 0.15%. So if you can pull 150 armor points off the enemy troops, you're going to reduce their might defense by 22%. This is a 22% reduction in their defense. Huge, huge, which means if you're a free-to-play player, you want to be running Armor Piercer and not Infuriation. Now, you're going to start with both, but you'd eventually want to upgrade to one legendary skill. So let's talk about the legendary skills now. First thing I'm going to do, though, is convince you that legendary skills are better than non-legendary skills, and that's really easy to do. And I think I can show that by just showing the one. No, I gotta show one of the ones we say. So first thing is to understand she has 2 damage-based skills, and neither of these deal damage. So that makes this really easy, but let's compare the damage-based skills here. First one is Act of Mercy, and this is the worst of the 2. And this is actually already ranked up to 5 stars because she's my commander, she's my main unit, and so I have ranked her all the way up. And when you add a lower effect, it's going to have a little bit lower output here. But after launching a normal attack, you deal might damage to the enemy troop. This has a 25% activation chance. This has a 20% activation chance. So 5% more activation chance is worth more than the 15% difference between this 250 damage and this 235 damage. And I'll show that to you now. So 235 times 0.25 is equal to 58% damage per second, or per turn, if you think about it like that. So 58.7 for Act of Mercy. And if we do 250 times the 20% activation chance, you get 50. So for the purple skill provides 50 damage and above. The yellow legendary skill provides 58 damage and additional damage. So increases your damage by 2% up to 100% every time when the target loses 1% of its units. What this means is at full health, when your opponent's at full health, you will deal 235% damage. When the opponent is at 50% health or less, you will deal 335% damage. So that means halfway through the battle, you're going to have increased your damage by a lot. So what is 335 divided by 235 is a 42% damage increase. So the battle begins, and then halfway through the battle, you're dealing 42% more damage with this skill than when it started. And that will continue through the entire range. And you don't have to wait till halfway. It's going to increase by 2% every time the target loses units, which is very fast actually. And this is important because, again, battles are momentum based. It matters how fast you kill units and that you're continuously getting stronger and improving. And so that is what you would see here over time. This skill gets better the longer the fight goes on. So starts at 235, increases to 335 over the course of the battle. That's what Act of Mercy does. It is pure damage. It's at a 25% activation chance, which is clearly better than both of these purple skills, because all of these just debuffs and buffs are not as valuable as pure damage. One thing you'll learn so far in Age of Empires Mobile is damage matters more than healing, damage matters more than debuffs. This is a damage meta. You want to deal as much damage as you can all the time. Now, let's look at weak spot attack. Weak spot attack, let's go back to my skills here, is the best of these 4 skills. Okay? I want to just compare the weaker of the legendary skills to show that any of the legendary skills are going to do better for you than the purple skills. So you don't want to run 2 purple skills if you're free to play. So a free to play player is going to run Armor Piercer and Weak Spot Attack. I'm going to show you why Weak Spot Attack is the best of these 4 skills. But free to play is going to do Armor Piercer, Weak Spot Attack. Paid players or players that are further along in the game, even if they are free to play, are going to run Weak Spot Attack and Act of Mercy. And this is why these 2 skills do damage. These 2 skills do not, and that is hugely devastating to the ability to make this work if you don't have a damage dealing skill, because Mulan is our DPS. She's the attack secondary strike. We want her dealing as much damage as possible. So let's go back here, and I'll explain why Weak Spot Attack is the best skill. Now, all these aren't changing anything because it's already maxed. It's a maxed 5-star skill. If you're going to put legendary skill scrolls on a skill for Mulan, it's going on Weak Spot Attack first. You want to fully max it out before you max out any other skill. Don't put anything on Act of Mercy until you've maxed out Weak Spot Attack. This is the best skill. Now, what did we say for Act of Mercy, right? We said it was 235% damage plus 100 at half health. So at half health of your opponent, you're dealing 335% damage. But at all health levels, Weak Spot Attack is dealing 370% damage. Now, there is a difference here. Weak Spot Attack has a 20% activation chance. So we do need to adjust this for that activation chance. So 370 times 0.2. That's a 74% damage rate per attack adjusted for activation chance. So 74 for Weak Spot Attack. And at the highest level here, 335 times 0.25, you get 83. But at the lowest level, 235 times 0.25, you get 58. So when Act of Mercy is maxed, Act of Mercy is dealing a little bit more damage than Weak Spot Attack. But when weak spot at the beginning of the fight, weak spot attack deals more damage and has an extra effect. And this effect is incredible. This is why weak spot attack is the best skill. Increases the hero's damage by 30% might bonus for 3 seconds. Now, a turn is 1 second, right? So this is 3 turns, which means if it activates on Mulan's turn, then it will go to the second heroes for 1 second, the third heroes for 1 second, and back to Mulan's turn. So what this says is when weak spot attack activates, you increase the hero's damage for the rest of Mulan's current turn and Mulan's next turn. Mulan's not a hero that can do damage on other people's turns. Someone like Lu Bu can, but for the purposes of this, it's just saying for this turn and your next turn, you're going to increase the hero's damage. But it's not by 30%. It's 30% might bonus. What is 30% might bonus? Well, because she has that 2.58 multiplier, it's actually 30% times 2.58, 77.4%. This means that when weak spot attack activates, you increase Mulan's damage by 77% for this turn and the next turn. This is incredible. This is also why weak spot attack is probably the best DPS skill for a might hero for at least the first few seasons of the game. This is going to be the best skill on Mulan. This is going to be the best skill on Lu Bu. This is going to be the best skill on almost any might hero that can take weak spot attack and is meant to do damage should take weak spot attack, because this means that 77% increase will apply for this turn and her next turn. And I say this turn because if she has double attack and weak spot attack affects the first attack, it will mean that the boost will be effective on the second attack she makes that turn and any skills that she activates. Which is why when you were to, if you look at, did I already delete the battle report? I did not. If you look at a battle report, a lot of times you're going to see Act of Mercy deal more damage than weak spot attack. Actually, this one it doesn't, but sometimes it does. But a lot of that depends because weak spot attack is not only dealing damage, it is increasing damage as well. Here you can see this buff taking place. So weak spot attack dealt 21,000 damage, Act of Mercy 16,000 damage, even though you had an extra activation of Act of Mercy. Now, this is variable. I would say a lot of times I see Act of Mercy doing a little bit more damage over time because sometimes weak spot will activate and then it'll end up buffing the damage from Act of Mercy, and so sometimes you'll see that effect there. But that's where you're going to see the damage hit on your units. So weak spot attack is dealing effectively over the course of a battle significantly more damage than Act of Mercy, because Act of Mercy only passes the damage of weak spot attack when your opponent's already below like 60% health. And even then, that's only on an adjusted activation chance basis. But the important part of weak spot attack is this massive damage boost. 77% increase in damage is huge, absolutely huge, and you cannot ignore this. So this becomes important, and that damage boost becomes important when we look at the other skills. So these are the 2 skills that I choose, and I recommend to all Mulan players. I don't think any Mulan player should be choosing double attack or furious charge, and we're going to cover why. First thing is furious charge. First, take note, if you don't have a skill, you always need to check against the level of 40 effect. So here you can see increases hero's might damage by 13%, up to 5 stacks. So 13.06 times 5. 65% damage increase. There is no might bonus on this, so this is going to just be in place, and it's based upon the signature skill activation, so it's just how long does it take to max this out. So you need 5 signature skill activations to get total buff from this. Now, why does that matter? Well, let's go see how many signature skill activations we had in that battle that I had. So this battle lasts 36 seconds. And I activated my skill 6 times. So by the end of 36 seconds, now that we're saying averaging once every 6 seconds, so it's going to take 30 seconds, if we say That's 5 activations to max out this skill, okay? So if we go here, we're gonna say, this is not maxed. You don't get a 65% damage buff until after 30 seconds of combat, which most combat's going to be faster than that. These bosses take a long time, and I have a really strong setup here, so I survive a while. Most combats are going to be faster than 30 seconds, or the determination of who's going to win will be determined before that. And even then, you're only getting a 65% increase in damage. And we already covered how weak spot attack, when it activates, is giving you a 77% increase in damage. Now, that's only when this activates. Furious Charge is passive, so it's always active. And then if you max it out, you're going to get 19.5%, so that's going to be 19.5 times 5 at max, which is 97%. So it's effectively doubling your damage. Now, why am I going to say double? Well, 97%, close to 100%. This skill does no damage, right? And that's very important. So first of all, any skill should be compared to the weakest skill you're comparing. So weak spot attack's your best skill. So I'm not going to compare these skills to weak spot attack. I'm going to compare it to Act of Mercy, which is the weakest of your 2 skills. And you have 3 damage skills. But if you don't have 3 damage skills, you're going to take a reduction in your damage of at least a third. So we're going to be reducing Mulan's damage to take a non-damage skill. And that's the big problem with Furious Charge, is it will deal no damage. And it's going to take 30 seconds to fully activate. So for 30 seconds, you're going to have a skill that does no damage. And you're going to have Act of Mercy dealing no damage because you replaced it. So all of the damage of Act of Mercy has to go away and be replaced solely by damage of weak spot attack. The problem with that is one of the key aspects of weak spot attack is it's increasing the hero's damage, not just for this turn, but next turn. And so if you activate weak spot attack and you have a double attack through some other source, like Attila, like Ronnie, something like that, then weak spot attack can't boost the damage of Act of Mercy because you've put in Furious Charge. Weak spot attack cannot boost the damage of Furious Charge. Weak spot attack cannot boost the damage of double attack. So if you run Furious Charge, there's no skill that weak spot attack can boost. And so it totally weakens the setup and the damage output of Mulan because of that. And it takes 30 seconds to work. Now, this does benefit the signature skill. But again, weak spot attack can only boost the signature skill then. So the important thing to think is like, yes, this damage boost is really high. 97%, you double the damage after that period. But for the first, well, let's see, so 19.5%. So 19.5 times 2, 39%. So that's a fair number, right? So 12 seconds. For the first 6 seconds, this does nothing, right? After 6 seconds, it's going to boost it by 19.5%. After 12 seconds, it's going to boost it by 38%, 39%. And at that point, it's starting to become equivalent to having another skill. So for the first 12 seconds, you're suffering because this skill is doing nothing for you. And then only after 12 seconds, and really once you get to like 18 seconds, does it really start getting an ROI. So if the fight lasts a really, really long time, Furious Charge can do all right for you. But you're lacking a skill. When you could have Act of Mercy, which is also getting stronger the entire time you fight. So you don't have to wait for damage just from other skills. So Furious Charge would drop out. Double attack never does damage, but it does double your attack rate. Now, this is actually really strong, but one of the things you'll see here is just at level 40, you get up to a 26% activation chance, and it increases the hero's might, strategy, and armor by 13.4. At max rank, which you would really need to do anytime you run double attack, it gets up to a 40% activation chance. This is an active skill, so each turn they get a chance to do this. Might, strategy, and armor for 20 for 3 seconds. It helps, but it's not the main thing. The main thing is the double attack state. Double attack is very important, and it is useful on a hero like Mulan, so I'm not going to discount the value of double attack. I'm going to use this skill as a chance to talk about it. But Heroes in a double attack state attack twice when using normal attacks, and both attacks have a chance to trigger secondary strike skills. This is critical to the design of Mulan. So the key is, do we get double attack from Mulan by taking a skill called double attack, or do we get it from one of her support heroes? And I believe the best choice is to get it from one of her support heroes. And so far in every season, there is a hero that can give Mulan double attack. And the reason you want to do it on a support hero is this ability is incredible. Because the double attack state means that not only does she attack twice, so let me go here to that battle report. We'll go to this comparison. Details. Here you can see flurry of blows because I'm getting double attack from her ring, which activated 6 times. So once every 6 seconds, so basically every other turn she's getting double attack because I have a double attack ring. I also have Attila, who has Annihilator, which has a chance to give all your heroes double attack state and increase your commander's might damage for 3 seconds. That activated 4 times. So over the course of a 36-second battle, Mulan had 10 activations of potential double attack. Now some of those might have overlapped. It's really hard to tell if they overlap for this. But basically, Mulan had 12 turns in a 36-second combat, and she had 10 activations of double attack. And that's without using the double attack skill. So you can build Mulan to not have to need the double attack skill. Now, if there wasn't a hero like Attila that could give Mulan double attack, and without costing one of her skill slots, then double attack could be viable. If there wasn't a ring that could give Mulan double attack, which here's the Radiant Guardian ring. Here you can see increases the hero's activation secondary strike skill activation chance by 0.95% and has a 46% chance to gain double attack for 3 seconds. If she didn't have this ring, you could argue that she needs double attack. Or you can just get this ring and run Attila. You can also run Rani with her. Let's see, where do I have my Rani? I think my Rani's with my Lubu. So I can show you Rani's skill right here. There's a 20% chance for the next hero to enter the double attack state. So Rani can be a support hero that gives double attack, and Attila is a support hero that gives double attack. And basically you can give your support hero double attack. If you can give Mulan the double attack state without her having to take that skill, it's better. Now, this skill is good. So basically if I had to rate the skills, I'd say weak spot attack is by far the best skill Mulan has. Act of Mercy is the second best skill. Double attack is really good. And some heroes, even if they have Act of Mercy, I would recommend running weak spot attack and double attack. But Mulan, I don't, because I have a way to give her double attack without it. If you don't have a way to give Mulan double attack, you need to run probably weak spot and double attack, because this double attack also boosts her Star Chaser ability, which is just the best damage dealing skill she has, especially at 5 stars. Otherwise, this is your best setup. You want to get that from another hero. Let your DPS deal damage. Mulan only has 2 gold customizable skills that deal damage, so despite Act of Mercy being a somewhat weak skill, it is certainly better than Furious Charge. Furious Charge is the worst of the 4 skills. Double attack is just way better than this. So at 5 stacks, you double damage. Or you can just activate double attack and you've doubled the damage. So double attack is inherently better than Furious Charge in all cases because it can be useful right from the beginning. And it also provides these buffs of might, strategy, and armor. The thing is if you ever run double attack, and you should not on Mulan because Mulan has plenty of options even from season 1, you have to max it. Because 26%, 0.8%, or 40% activation chance is huge difference. A 40% activation chance means every other turn you're getting double attack, basically. So this is your third best skill. It's the only one you could possibly ever run, and in that case, you would run weak spot and double attack. But I would never run this. Mulan should always be built weak spot attack and active mercy, and then you should put your legendary skill scrolls on weak spot attack, max it out, and then put the rest on active mercy. And the reason for that is when you do her skills, the skill scrolls, it's not only boosting the damage, it also boosts the percentage buff, and you want that to get that 77% chance. So we've covered Mulan's skills. This is the skills you run on a Mulan. She always has Star Chaser, that's a signature. You run weak spot attack and active mercy. That is Mulan's skills. Let's cover Mulan's gear and gems. So gems are very simple on Mulan. So I run on the helmet attack gems. So these are strategy gems on the helmet, and you get to choose between attack gems. You could run defense gems. You can run gathering gems, which you should never do. Unit capacity, health. I said defense. So you basically have the key choices are you have attack, capacity, defense, and health. So I've covered this in my gem guide video, but basically archers have the best attack in the game. It's not even close. You should always be using archers with attack gems. And the reason for it is if we come here and look at my units, these are my archers. They have 219 attack and 121 defense. So if I can buff the attack by 1%, so we got 219 times 0.01, that's going to add 2 attack to my unit. But if I buff the defense by 1%, it's only adding 1 defense, or 1.21 defense. If I do a health, it's adding 1.4 health. Now, health is always good, so you can put health gems on anyone. No objection to putting health gems on archers. If you want to run health gems with Mulan, you can. It's fine. But the highest value gem for an archer is going to be attack, just because they have the highest amount. So 219 here for archers. For swordsmen, you can see they're at 146. Pikemen are at 170, and even cavalry at 194. So for me, I've broken down my gems so that all my archers have attack gems, all of my swordsmen have defense gems, all of my pikemen have health gems, and my cavalry have unit capacity. So that's how I break mine down. You can break them down in a different way, but for Mulan, I recommend basically unit attack or health. Health is good everywhere. I don't recommend unit capacity, even though some people do, but I don't think that's what Mulan benefits from. I lean into structuring her as attack, and so that's what you see here. On the helmet, attack gem, attack gem, attack gem. That's how I do gems for Mulan. Now on the hand gear, we're going to get to choose what stats we buff. So instead of buffing unit attack here, and this unit attack, for instance, is going to go straight to boosting the bonus here. Here we go, might attack. You're going to see gems, 27%, 0.1 from unit attack gems. All of this is hitting unit attack gems. If we go to strategy attack, you're going to see the same 27.1%. But if you go to might defense, you're not going to see that anything for gems. There's no spot for gems because I'm not running any defense gems on this hero. I'm not running any health gems on this hero. So all of those bonuses are going to attack. Now, the hand gear, basically you can choose to buff skills or the attributes. So my Mulan is buffing might. Here you can see a might gem is what I have selected here, plus 6.85 might because it is a mythic might gem. Now you could also choose siege, you can choose armor, you can choose strategy, or you can choose one of these, which is an all attributes. So you can get, there's 4 attributes, might, armor, strategy, and siege. So you can get one gem that gives +1 to all attributes, or you can dedicate into a single gem. And for Mulan, because she has might bonus, I'm just buffing might with my gems. All of them are going to go into might because she has 4 skills, and all 4 skills have might bonus. She deals might bonus damage here, might bonus damage right here, might bonus here, might bonus here. All 4 of her skills benefit from might. So the only gems that I put on Mulan are might gems. I don't put any siege, I don't put any armor, I don't put any strategy, and I don't put all attributes because all attribute gems are less efficient. Let's compare green gems here to show the difference. On green gems, might is plus 1.35, but only 0.65 for all attributes. So I'm going to get 0.7 less might if I use an all attribute gem than if I just use a might gem. And that's at the green level, and then the difference gets higher and higher as you go up. You can see that the individual stat gems give more per that stat, but of course they give nothing for the other stats. So an all attribute gem is best on someone else, not Mulan. For Mulan, might only on the hands. Now, finally, we get to the chest piece, and the chest piece is going to buff skills. And for skills, you can see I have selected heroes, secondary strike skill damage. This is a tactic, secondary strike damage. All 3 are secondary strike gems. And this is how you should see all your heroes. You want to be buffing uniformly. You make a decision on what gems you want on that hero, and then you only put those gems. The biggest mistake I see people make is they'll say, oh, well, let's say I didn't have, 3 of these red gems. And so instead of running a purple gem here, that's the same, this is normal attack versus secondary strike. So I have a purple secondary strike skill. So instead of having, red, red, purple or red, red, yellow, but all being secondary strike, you'll see 3 reds or 3 yellows, but they're all different stuff. You'll have 1 secondary strike skill, you'll have 1 normal attack, you'll have a turn-based skill damage, and they're different. You do not want them different. They need to do the same thing. They might not all be the same level, the percentages might be different, but they should all be the same. Make a choice and stick with it. Mulan is a secondary strike hero, right? So we go here, she's a secondary strike hero. This is a secondary strike skill. This is a secondary strike skill. This is a secondary strike skill. So what these gems are doing, plus 2.3%, they're all buffing all 3 of her skills. And so there's actually a 4th secondary strike skill gem here on the boots because it has 1 of each. So you have 1 unit attack, 1 might, 1 secondary strike. So when you look at this total amount, she's getting a gem buff of plus 9.2% hero's secondary strike skill damage. She's getting 11% to unit attack, and she's getting 22.7 might just from her gems because of the gems I have. This is what I get from Mulan. 22 might, 11% attack, and 9% skill damage. And that matters because it means that 9.2% is this skill's 9% better, this skill's 9% better, and this skill's 9% better because they're all secondary strike. And so the whole build of Mulan is designed to increase her secondary strike damage. And that includes the ring. Now, the ring for Mulan is pretty simple. The best in slot ring for Mulan is the one and only Radiant Guardian. Now, this is a 4K ring, but the key here is this flurry of blows. Actually, let's do it here. This skill, when maxed out, increases the hero's secondary strike's activation chance by 5% every 6 seconds and has a 100% chance to gain the double attack state for 3 seconds. What this ring does when maxed, and you're not going to play with it maxed unless you're a massive whale or kraken, but what this skill does when maxed is it's going to have Mulan almost always in the double attack state. And what that means is when she's in double attack, she's going to attack once. She's going to have a chance to activate this skill, or this skill. She will attack again and have a second chance to activate this skill, and this skill. She could activate a total of 6 skills in one turn when she has double attack. That's unlikely, but you're basically doubling this activation chance. But the ring also increases the activation chance. So that means this 25 becomes 30. This 20 becomes 25. This 26 becomes 31. And then you're multiplying it by 2 because you're attacking twice. So really this skill becomes 62%. This skill becomes 50%. This skill becomes 60%. And so there's a huge chance of activating her skills due to the double attack state on Mulan. All because of Radiant Guardian. Now, at my skill level, which is level 13, it's only providing a 1% chance increase in the activation chance and 46% double attack. But we already saw how effective 40% chance double attack is. At 46% chance of double attack, you've already exceeded the value of double attack skill. Now that's not completely true because this skill does a couple things, right? It's also adding might, strategy, and armor. You don't get might, strategy, and armor any other. But you can see the activation chances here is 40%. Now this is 40% every turn, while the ring, I believe, has this 46% chance every 6 seconds. Now that is not totally clear to me, but I believe that's what it is this is activating every 6 seconds and giving you the chance of that double attack state every 6 seconds. It's possible that this increases every 6 seconds and then this is 46% chance all the time, but that's not how I interpret it. So regardless, even at level 13, it's a pretty good skill. Even at the level 1, it gives you a 40% chance of double attack. So this ring costs 4,000 of the lucky draw currency. And so here we go to our jeweler's collection. You use this currency and you can buy a $4,000 ring or 4,000 jeweler's mark ring. There are 6 of them. So Radiant Guardian is one of them. It's not shown here because I've already bought it. So you can see if you scroll down through the various rings you can buy. I've bought these rings. I only have one 4K ring, but this is the Radiant Guardian, and you can see the, how it's described. It also provides normal attack damage, 2% to 26%, troop attack 1% to 10%, troop defense 1% to 10%, and it has this skill. So owning a ring is like adding a 5th skill to a hero. And so the skill we're adding to Mulan is double attack. So I'm getting a double attack skill on my Mulan. It is important to have double attack on your Mulan. I'm getting it from her ring. This is the best in slot ring for Mulan. Now let's look at some of the other rings Mulan could run before you get double attack. And one of the ones that I think is a really good recommendation is the one that literally gives double strike. This is the Ring of Daisy. This ring costs 200. And what it does is it's the same thing. It's a secondary strike skill. It adds a 4th damage skill to Mulan. This is the cheapest ring, and it should probably be the very first ring you buy if you're playing Mulan, is the Ring of Daisy. It gives, after launching a normal attack, deal might damage to the enemy troop. And so you can deal might damage with this ring. How do I select? This is not the one I want to go to. Let's go. I think I have my Ring of Daisy right now on Mehmed. And so here you can see at level 1, it gives this much, and it gets stronger as you level it up. Right now, mine is over level 20. So it's basically adding another damage skill. This is the first ring I would buy on Mulan. You can see it's recommended on Mulan right here. And that would be one that I would recommend. That's the blue ring I would recommend for Mulan. Buy this one first while you're saving up for your Radiant Guardian. Basically, free-to-plays and paid should start with the Ring of Daisy. Where did I put it? It just disappeared. Right here. Ring of Daisy costs 200. And then let's see which of these other ones would make sense. You can run Ring of Nightwolf, but you should not run it on your commander. It's better to have a damaged one. So you could run something like Ring of Lion to make her might stronger. You could run something like Ring of Crow to make her might stronger. I would not recommend it. but you want damage skill, so I would run Ring of Daisy, cost 200, and then save up for Radiant Guardian, cost 4,000. Those are really the only recommended rings I have for Mulan, and so I would go with those. So if we look back at Mulan, we have now chosen your gear, we have chosen the gems, or the gems on your gear, we have the rings, we've covered all of the skills, and that's about it. We've cut, I guess, the talent tree. Let me open up the talent tree to talk through how I build Mulan's talent tree. The main thing is Mulan is your commander, so you want hero damage. Anytime you see hero damage, that's what you want. So here you can see military tactics. That's the first place you start. You're going to grab might. You're going to grab normal attack. You're going to grab skill. You're going to get 2 in hero damage. Everything's about Mulan's damage. Then you come down to this tree, get might damage. So you're going to go work over to the left to pick up the might. And then all of these are damage, right? So you get hero damage. You're going to get damage of normal attacks. Damage of skills. Skill damage is worth more than normal attack damage, but you're basically picking up all of them. Normal attack damage, armor, right? And so you're just, and then the ones on the right here, you have a few that reduce damage taken for the whole troop, but that's just because you run out of space. Come down to the next one, you're going to pick up the might, you're going to pick up the armor, you're going to pick up damage, and you're going to pick up damage reduction, right? So it's pretty standard. You get down to this one, and you're going to pick up might, you're going to pick up armor, damage reduction. You're going to pick up might, and then these are health bonus. You're going to see attack bonus, so you're going to go, fill off all the ones in the flats, and then these are solo battle, solo world battle, solo word battle. And then at the bottom, you're going to get the bulwark, and then you're going to get health and attack bonus, and health. So we've done the talent tree, we've done the skills, we've done the gems, we've done the rings. That is Mulan. She is the archer commander. She is the preferred archer commander in Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, and Season 4 in Age of Empires Mobile for warrior archers. She is the only warrior archer commander I would play as a paid player for those 4 seasons, which are the only ones that are out so far. Season 3 is the only one out on my server. But even looking at Season 4's heroes, they do not change that Mulan is the main commander. So that is my guide to Mulan, and I hope you have enjoyed it and learned something today. Thank you very much.